So guys, we would like to start our presentation about workplace planning, recruitment and selection, so maybe sit down. Yeah, come in. Hello.
Hi.
I'm the project engineer for Sector B.
Yeah, alright, then I'm going to post a job posting and someone will apply. No problem.
Perfect, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah?
Yes, I'm the industrial engineer for the Sector B.
Ah, you should be the applicant.
Yes,
yeah.
I will.
Sit down.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I was reviewing your qualifications, your CV. I would say, you got the job.
Yes! Oh, thank you very much.
Welcome to our company.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, that's the idea that most people have when it comes to HRM. But this is only a small process. Within the organization, there's a complex process. I'm pretty sure that most of you may already experience with some aspects we're going to cover today. As all of you did internship, where you first screen different job postings on the internet, and then, if you find an appropriate job posting, you're going to start to write your letter of application, where you write how motivated you are, how well suited you are for the job, and also a little bit of lying maybe. And if you sold yourself well, you got an invitation to the job interview, and that was the first touch point with your company. Yeah. So, what are you going to learn today? First, we are going to outline how human resource planning will contribute to the achievement of an organization's strategic objectives. Furthermore, we are going to identify ethical principles which employers should implement in their recruitment and selection process. And at the end, we are going to prepare you for your future job interview at the company of your choice for your graduation assignment. So, be excited. Let's start with human resource planning. What is actually human resource planning? Did you ever heard of it? And maybe some of you worked at the human resource department and actually participated actively in this process? What comes to your mind when you hear human resource planning? What could it be? Tasks? Yeah?
I would say maybe all this from the human resource department is preparing the job description and so, and writing the job description so that a possible applicant knows what
the job is about?
The job is about.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I'm just collecting your thoughts on this topic. Yeah, Sarah?
I can imagine it also refers to like capacity management of human resources.
Right.
If you have a company that is subject to seasonality or that might need more employees at a time, yeah, or that you have to actually plan it. They also manage how many people work at that company at a time.
Yeah, good points. Yeah. Michael?
Maybe also managing the vacations of the employees, so when can actually the employees take off some days or...
Yeah. When they're going to retire, for example, when they are old, and yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Pretty good points. Human resource planning is the process of assessing current HR capabilities and forecasting future supply and demand of human resources, and based on that, they are producing HR plans that will enable the organization to achieve its strategic objectives. So it's not like at the role play that you say, okay, I need an employee for here, an employee for here, we're going to conduct some interviews. No, it's identifies current and future human resources, needs for an organization to achieve its goals. So in the perfect way, it should serve as a link between the human resource management and the overall strategic goals of an organization. But some people criticize this approach because some people might think, okay, how am I going to be able to forecast 10 or 15 years ahead to plan the workforce we are going to need? And what kind of workforce we are going to need in 10, 15 years? It's pretty tough task, right? So many people argue that it's not really feasible under more unpredictable market conditions. So how does this process actually look like? There are three phases. The first one is forecasting future demand. It determines numbers and kinds of personnel needed in the future. And one way to approach this is like we are going to check the projections for the sales. If we see we have an increasingly demand in the future, which is dramatic, okay, we have to see how are we going to cope with this demand and how many people are we going to need for every specific department. And also new technology plays a role. If you have, for example, a lawyer firm and you see Microsoft and Google are working on a robot which can actually take over the job of the lawyer, this is one thing that the HR department has to adapt to their strategy. And then we come to forecasting internal and external supply. This is concerned with determining what personnel will be available in the future. And there are two types of sources, internal and external. The internal source are the people that are already in the organization, and the external are the people outside the organization. More and more companies are focusing on sophisticated human resource information systems, where they can track how many employees do we have actually in the company, for how long are they working at our company, how old are they, so they can keep track of the current human resources. And the third one is to respond to forecasts. Based on the forecast we made in the first and second approach, we are going to make decisions. What is now the best way to go? Should we downsize our current employees, or should we increase the recruitment in the future if we have, for example, increasing demand? How can this HRP process now be of advantage in order to achieve the objectives of a company? First, it meets our personal requirements of the organization. Due to the active planning, they know what kind of people we need and how many people we are going to need. So as the workforce is really important to produce things, to promote things and everything, this helps the company to achieve its goals in the future. Moreover, it is concerned with right-sizing the human resource requirements of the organization. In an organization, especially in big ones, it's always important to right-size the current human resources, to see how many people do we have here. Are these people really needed in this department, or could we replace these employees, for example? This is also important so they could decrease their costs and help the organization to achieve their goals. And last but not least, to meet the expansion and diversification needs of the organization. If a company wants to expand in the future, this HRP process helps really well because it is futuristic, and based on this it will help the company to accomplish their goals. Now we talked about the human resource planning process. Now we come to the recruitment and selection part, where Stefan will focus on the ethical principles.
Thank you very much. Coming to recruitment selection, you might ask, why is recruitment and selection important? I'll tell you why. It shows that the organization is adequately staffed with people possessing the right mix of attributes to support the business strategy. So what does it mean? It means that the right person is on the right time, on the right place, on the right job, and in the end it's beneficial for the organization. It's quite similar to the objective of recruitment and selection planning, because this is like to get the right people into the right job, so to minimize the likelihood of poor performance, low turnover, and disciplinary issues. So you can understand it when you, for example, employ an applicant who's maybe not that motivated or doesn't have the right set of skills, and you employ him in your company and he doesn't perform that well, he makes a lot of mistakes, and this results in lower turnover, and in the end it results in disciplinary issues. So this could be quite costly when you, for example, employ the wrong applicant. Now coming to ethics. Ethics plays a huge role in recruitment and selection, and mostly there are laws that protect a certain individual during the hiring process, as well as help maintain a professional ethical standard when hiring employees. Nevertheless, ethical principles are not always respected. And therefore, we all together will define ethical valuations today in this lecture. And based on that, we will come up and identify ethical principles employers should adhere to in the recruitment and selection process. As food for thought, I will show you a TV commercial from MTV, from the German TV, and it was shown 10 years ago. It's about an anti-discrimination, and you all have to have to focus on ethical violation in the recruitment and selection process. Unfortunately, this video is on German, but you get the message if it's even if you don't speak a single word.
Just a second.
It's just
All right.
Do you see it on your own screen?
Yeah, I see it on my own screen, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a second screen, right?
Yeah.
It's a second screen, okay. So,
Or you can change the settings into duplicate screen.
FN,
okay,
F5,
go on the right, go on the right.
go off and can you go?
So I want to
Yeah. Can you go back? Can you go to your normal? Yeah, exactly. That's on my screen.
this place.
You want to duplicate and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, because it's not
On the
working.
second or
Yeah, it looks different.
only showing it of one
Yeah.
and showing it of two,
Yeah,
right?
that's the one that you need.
Okay.
Yeah, now we see it. And now we just don't go back to your presentation, but show it. Like this.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't work just on YouTube. So
Yeah.
we just open it on the
Yeah.
Firefox. Sorry for that.
Das muss doch nicht sein. Wir haben die Lösung. Deutschcreme. Für die täglichen Probleme mit Ihrer Haut. Einfach auftragen und wirken lassen. Deutschcreme. Für den Weg zum Erfolg.
like this was like an anti-discrimination campaign from MTV. And do you guys maybe notice the ethical violation of this TV commercial? What do you think? What was it about? Someone? Yeah, Lisa?
Yeah, he was discriminated because of his color of skin or his race because he's from a different country origin.
So, yeah, discriminated on race. Right. Can you maybe come forward and write it on the board? Would be great. Thank you very much. So, and there are like many other kinds of ethical violation. Does any one of you maybe know some other ethical violations? Some kinds? Ilana?
Gender inequality.
Yeah, gender inequality. You come forward as well and write it on the board. Perfect. Jana? Okay. Are there some other kinds you maybe know? Yes?
Because of your sexual orientation when you're gay.
Exactly. Discrimination of sexual orientation. Lisa?
Yeah, maybe if you're disabled.
A disability, exactly. Yeah, come forward, Lisa. Again and again.
I'm waiting for that.
Thanks. Yeah? Nilana? Yeah, exactly. Income inequality. Come forward as well. Thanks. And some of you are in the business stream as well, right? And we watched all the Qatar documentation in 2022. And do you still remember how the Qatar people get all those migrant workers to Qatar and that they work for them? Do you remember? Yeah. No, that they didn't force them to come there, Sarah?
I think they just promised more than in the end they actually did. So once they were across the border, they just like tore the contract apart, and then they said, "No, you're illegal now. We have the power. I don't know how to."
Yeah, exactly. But the stage before that, how they attract them, they said you get more money, right? You get like $1,200 a month, but in the end they get only $900, or when they even get paid, right?
Mm.
So that would be a next thing, like misleading, in the job, misleading post in the job advertisement or something like that, right?
Mm.
Now we identified all those violations, and how can you prevent those violations and setting up like ethical principles, right, for the employer? And this in the recruitment and selection phase. The first one we came up with was respect the law. So don't blackmail people that they work for you, something like that. Respect human laws, human rights as well. The second one is honest communication. Just don't say anything like you get 10,000 euros a month and in the end you get only like 100 or something like that. The third one is a quite big one because it summarizes all discriminations based on race, disability, origin, religious or political views, gender, age or sexual orientation. And those ethical violations are attacked by the principle, treat all job seekers equally. Doesn't matter what skin color they have. The fourth one is the rely only on relevant and job-related information when making hiring decisions. For example, Elisa, you are a human resource manager, and unfortunately, your cousin is unemployed. So, and you have like a vacancy in your organization. Keeping in mind that you have to be responsible for the organization, and after learning everything about those ethical principles, would you still employ your cousin even though he's maybe not that qualified and you get on the open market maybe way better employees? Yes. Would you still do so?
Yes.
Okay. This is like an ethical dilemma. Okay.
Why?
Yeah, because he's part of my family and
to at least give him the chance to, to convince me of his skills.
Even if you know that he's like not capable of doing it, like over exaggerating the situation, okay? Like you employ a cousin that he has to fly like an airline with people in it, and he can't even fly.
Of course.
So, okay, so this is like just over exaggerated, right? No, but it is like the fourth part about just rely really on relevant and job related information. Now Ray comes with selection methods and will present you those.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Before we come to the more practical part of this presentation, first of all, what is selection and what is the central objective of selection? So the central objective of selection is to provide the employer, so the HR, provides the employer with sufficient information to predict the future job performance of the candidate by using various selection methods. So I'm pretty sure that all of you know, gone through a selection method during your internships last year. So we make like a short brainstorming session, like Stefan did. So what is popping up into your mind if you think about selection methods? Jana?
Yeah, for example, what skills does the employee or the applicant has, and if they correspond to what we are searching for?
Mm-hmm. That's our objective. So, how do the recruiter test this? For example?
Oh, okay, yeah, by either a job interview and asking him specific questions, or reading the application.
Mm-hmm. Application is Lana?
Assessment centers.
Yes. Assessment centers. Also, Deutsche Bank use this approach, to assess the knowledge of the persons. Julia?
Yeah, next to assessment centers, some companies also do like online tests.
Mm-hmm. Someone else maybe? Do you have anything in mind? Okay. Yeah, let's keep it short. So we have various selection methods there. First of all, of course, the collection and the analysis of the biographic data. This means our curriculum vitae and application forms, online application forms. Then the interviews. You all are familiar with that, personal interviews of your telephone, everything. Psychometric testing is like, for example, personality tests, which are more objective, because interviews are more subjective and this is more objective part. Assessment centers, we talked about that, correct? Work sampling portfolios for example, art-specific works. You bring your portfolio of art and everything with you. References, of course, because everything which is stated in your CV, you want to prove it, that you are not lying. So therefore, the references are highly important. That's fine. Yeah. So a combination of different selection methods equals a range of devices, which gives the employer a rounded perspective of the candidate. That's really important because interview is like general one, and then subjective one and objective one. All right. Okay. So I would like to kindly ask you to what do you think of the four selection methods? Which take one stripe in your hand, and then you go there, and then which selection method is the most common used selection method? You can take the stripe here, and then put it next to the selection method there.
Which do you experience most often?
Yeah.
During your selection process.
Okay, I think everyone has it already. Okay, then we have for interview 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Application 1, 2, 3, 4, also 5. Yeah. Yes?
I've got a question, because actually I think you can't really differ between application and interview because the application comes before the interview, right?
Yeah, I think what he meant is application form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It is interview is a part of the application, so it's maybe too general. But I would say, yeah, you're all right. Or yeah, you're all right. The most common method for selecting among candidates is the interview. So why? Why is really the most common method of interviewing? Because it is useful for assessing the personal characteristics of persons. For example, the social interaction, social communication skills, and also in an interview, the recruiter tests if you are really have the practical intelligence and the practical behavior by asking hypothetical questions and situations. How would you act in the situation? Interviews act as a forum for negotiating terms and conditions of employment contracts, and competency interviews are also an increasing trend for recruiters because competency interviews they focus on your competencies and test if you are really suitable for this job offer. All right. Now imagine your best friend loves Google, and your best friend has now an offer to come to a job in an interview. So what would be the 3 most useful tips you would give for him? Like write it down on a paper, and then we make like a round. Everyone reads his 3 most useful tips, just reading it objectively, and then So your best friend is applying for Google, a really international well-known company. The best offer he got in his life. He loves the company. He always wanted to go there. And now your friend asks you, how should I act in this interview? The 3 most useful tips.
Based on your tips, you will pass the interview or not. So keep that in mind.
If you are done, just raise your hand. Then we know, okay, you're done. Just shortly. Julia, do you need more time? Or?
No.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Now we make like a round because we want to learn from each other. So maybe starting with Inessa, which are the points you wrote down?
Yes, so first inform yourself about the most important facts of the company, dress appropriate and keep calm.
Yes, I also have the point how she dresses up, business-like property. The body language is a very important thing, and that he or she informs himself or herself about important facts.
Okay, I have do your homework, dress properly, and stress your suitability.
you also have something? No?
That I have 10 in my part, but I can say, you know, if the question is how to act during an interview, then my answer would be don't act. Be real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Saba?
Inform yourself about the dress code, because I think usually you would say like, hey, this is like, that's the way, that's how it always goes, but then again, you know about Google, they have a gym and they can, you know, do all that really casually. So I don't know if it's maybe too sophisticated if you suit up. So maybe inform yourself about how that goes at Google. And then inform yourself about the interviewer, like the person who interviews you, because he's not Google, he's a person. And then stay critical, even though you love Google. I mean, I think there are so many people who would really like, I don't know how to say it politely, but yeah, like, hey Google, and you know, like I let you work for you, but also if they ask you, hey, do you have any improvement? I don't know if you saw the guest lecture by this True Fruits guy, but he says always stay critical, and I always prefer the people who say, hey, I don't like that about your website, so yeah, stay critical, even though you love Google.
Thank you.
I would be authentic, be prepared, so inform yourself about the company, also bring your CV and your application letter, and have an open body language.
I would learn to inform about the company in advance, then think about questions like why are you the best suitable candidate for Google as there are many applicants, and be authentic and polite during the interview.
Be self-confident, be honest, and prepare your strengths and weaknesses.
Be self-confident, look at your appearance, so concerning the dress code, and be informed about the company and the industry.
Be yourself, try to prepare as well as possible, and dress appropriately.
Be prepared on background information, patient and open-minded, dress appropriately, and review your application.
Thank you very much. You all mentioned very useful points, and we will also have the same opinion. That's why we listed the 7 most useful tips here. So, like the most of you said, like conduct research is highly important because you have to know before conduct research on the company, on the department, on the tasks and responsibilities, what is really important, of the job for the job offer. Then review common interview questions and prepare responses. You can always prepare for a job interview because there are always general questions, personal questions, for example, like strengths, weaknesses, and you can have an immediate answer, and so you can prepare. Dress for success. Like maybe you recognize it at us. the first impression lasts. Yeah. And then be on time for the interview is also highly important because it's a special criteria where the recruiter is assessing the behavior of the candidate and also for the future performance. Then be authentic, focused, confident, and conscious. Many people are not that confident sitting there, but try to be like confident. Like you have the power to do this job. Body language, it's a difference if you sit like this, or if you are really act like you're really not act, but you are really interested in. Show that you are open, that you want this job. And ask questions. Ask questions is highly important because many candidates say like, I have no further questions if they are asked to. But if they ask, if you have any further questions, always ask something. Something is better than nothing. Ask them how long is the working hours or anything, but you show your interest to the job offer.